Well, welcome to this special Mary Kay and Ashley edition of the Berea-report. We're out here at Cross Country Mortgage campus where the Browns have officially wrapped up the preseason. And Mary Kay, let's start with some backup quarterback talk beyond Jacoby Brissett. The news of the day, Josh Rosen is back on the Browns practice squad.
Yeah, we were kind of wondering what would happen with him, and lo and behold, he's back. He's on the practice squad. We got an opportunity to ask Glenn Cook, the assistant general manager, about him today, and he said, we really liked what we saw of him in the preseason and in camp, and he's worth developing. So he's out here now, and he's part of the team.
Yeah, and I thought it was also interesting, I asked Kevin Stefanski specifically because we've heard the talk between him and Joshua Dobbs during training camp. A big plus for Joshua Dobbs was that he had been here longer, and Kevin Stefanski did say, it does matter that Josh Rosen has been here for at least part of the preseason, but besides Josh Rosen, we also have Kellen, Monde, and Glenn Cook talked a little bit about the process of acquiring him today.
Yeah, they have had Kellen Monde on their radar since the draft. They liked him coming out of Texas A&M. They saw some things in him. They like his athleticism. They also feel he's worth developing, and they didn't care what their old friend Kwesi wanted to do with him in Minnesota in terms of whether or not they wanted to put him back on their practice squad. The Browns scooped him up, gave him one of those 53 spots.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting, and I was glad you asked the Kwesi question, Mary Kay, in that presser. But, it is interesting that he's a guy who I think when the Browns signed him, people were like, why did they go and get this quarterback? But it makes sense when you hear about how long they've had their eye on him. And the other quarterback news today, coming from Kevin Stefanski, it's not that much of news. It's probably something we all assumed, but he did confirm Joshua Dobbs is number 2 at quarterback for as long as Deshaun Watson is out, and even that he's going to have some special packages for him as well.
Yeah, and he didn't necessarily say that he will put a package of plays in place for him, but he did note that he's capable of doing that. And I've been talking about that on the podcast for a few days, that if I had Josh Dobbs on my roster, that I would do those kinds of things with him. I would put him into the game at strategic moments for that change of pace, for some of that athleticism, and the different cool things that he can do. But Kevin Stefanski he was very adamant about the fact that he is our number 2, so no question about that.
And let's switch over to the other side of the ball really briefly here before we let you go for a long weekend. So no Myles Garrett and no Perrion Winfrey in practice today.
That's right. Myles Garrett was excused again for a personal reason. Now we know that previously he had been dealing with a very sick family member, so here's hoping everything is okay in that regard. And then Perrion Winfrey was sick. If somebody's going to be sick, it's probably a pretty good time to be sick right now when they've got time off and they're not going to all be around each other before they head into the opener.
All right, well, that's all from practice today. On Thursday, we have the long weekend coming up, and it's officially week 1, Mary Kay, when we come back. So we'll have all your coverage heading into Carolina and over the long weekend at cleveland.com/Browns.